Hello everybody, welcome back to this year tropical update for September 16th. We're currently watching Tropical Storm Fiona making its way towards Guadeloupe, as well as an area of interest located between North Carolina and Bermuda, and an area of interest located over the Central Atlantic. Let's begin first with the impact map for today. You see also Tropical Storm Lesser on this impact map. We aren't going to talk about that much today, other than that hurricane force winds are possible over parts of Mexico, strong tropical storm force winds are possible over parts of Mexico. But aside from that, no major impacts. I think 3 to 6 inches of rain is the general consensus there. It's expected to strengthen up until landfall. Fiona is the thing that's lighting up the map here, as we can see a moderate risk in place for portions of the Dominican Republic, as well as portions of the Turks and Caicos and southeastern Bahamas. The reason for that is mainly for hurricane force winds, low-end hurricane force winds possible on that central area, the south part of the Dominican Republic, as well as later on once it gets back over the Atlantic Ocean. Rainfall could also be concerned over the Dominican Republic. I believe it isolated amounts to 16 inches, but that's isolated, so that's why most of the country is not in the moderate risk. It remains in slight, though, due to rain and strong tropical storm force winds, which are likely also over the Turks and Caicos, southeastern Bahamas, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands, and perhaps even Guadeloupe, as it could strengthen slightly into a 50-knot tropical storm, which means it's gale force, and then enters the slight category before landfall, and that's why that area is marked as yellow as well. So yellow areas are really where it starts to get real in terms of impacts with this. Tropical storm force winds still possible in all those areas in green. That's the British Virgin Islands, the rest of the northeastern Leeward Islands, as well as portions of Haiti, the rest of the Dominican Republic, portions of the central Bahamas. We're also watching minimal impacts. That means a little rain, a little bit of wind possible over the rest of Haiti, a little bit more of the Leeward Islands, as well as a little bit more of the central Bahamas. Again, that can extend and increase with time, especially in the Bahamas, perhaps even in Haiti as well. There's also a minimal risk for the island of Bermuda due to the area of interest, or perhaps even Fiona later on. And so likely that island will be lit up for the next few days as we continue to determine where Fiona is going to go. Speaking of Fiona, here is its look on satellite today. Getting to be less sheared, but still very sheared. As you can see, the western side of the cyclone having virtually no cloud cover with it. The eastern side still has a decent amount of convection, and that continues to be the theme until it's able to get its act together a little bit more. Tropical storm warnings are in effect for the northeastern Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, both the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. We have a tropical storm watch in effect for much of the Dominican Republic coast, as well as Dominica, which is an island in the Leeward Islands. And that Dominican Republic tropical storm watch is in effect for much of the area. The hurricane watch is maybe possible later today, but at this point, the Hurricane Center and the government of the Dominican Republic has not issued that. I already went over the rainfall amounts. Winds currently at 50 miles an hour on this storm will continue moderate as it moves on in its journey. Its journey is a little complicated after 3 days, but the first 3 days we have pretty much set in stone, which is good in terms of forecasting. Gradual strengthening is possible into, again, like I said, a high-end tropical storm possible in the next 3 days or so as it makes its way towards the Dominican Republic, where it could briefly reach hurricane strength, although as you can see from here, not entirely likely that is the case, but it is possible that it does so. It's going to go south of Puerto Rico, meaning the south side of Puerto Rico, it's going to get the worst impacts. The north side of Puerto Rico and the British Virgin Islands might actually be fine on this one. And again, the Leeward Islands likely to get tropical storm force winds as well. After that point, after 3 days when it makes landfall on the Dominican Republic, we're going to be watching where it goes. Does it swing out to sea after grazing the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos towards Bermuda, or does it kind of take a more along the Bahamas and towards the United States route? I'll talk more about that here in a second once we get to the ensemble members. We're also watching 2 areas of interest. One has a 10% chance of formation within the next 5 days. Again, a brief tropical cyclone could form here. It's currently frontal, so not entirely great for development, as well as an area of interest over the central Atlantic, possibly going to form. We'll talk about that here in a second as well, 20% chance of formation in the next 5 days. Here's the European model. You can see both the areas of interest having a little bit of model support. Fiona with a good amount of it. And that's kind of where we get into the discrepancies here. We have everywhere from, I'm going to use my cursor here, anywhere from Cuba all the way to Bermuda by the time we get to 7 days from now, which is a very wide envelope of possibilities. If it takes somewhere towards the middle route, we could see anywhere from Florida all the way to North Carolina in play, perhaps even farther north in the coast if it takes one of like these routes here, not quite out to Bermuda. The northern part of the East Coast could be in play. If it takes these central routes the European model has, we could see anywhere on the southeast coast in play. If it takes a south route, we could see South Florida as well as potentially the Gulf later on in play with this storm. So the United States East Coast, especially the southeast, needs to be watching Fiona very closely. Again, it's not like, Cat 5 hurricane or anything like that, but it is something we want to keep our eye on very, very carefully over the next few days, see how its development is after it gets past the Dominican Republic. And once it gets on the other side, we're going to have a real good idea of where this thing's going to go. And if it's South Florida, you guys need to be preparing now, because you may only have 2 or 3 days by the time it gets there, if that's where it ends up heading. So the general things, not the big things, make sure your prescriptions are filled, if you need plywood, the things that get busy when the hurricane's coming, those are the things you need to do now, just in case, and just a preventative measure, of course. The GFS is a whole different story. Everybody has it going out to sea on the GFS. Everybody has it swinging up towards Bermuda as a very strong hurricane, and that's kind of it. The GFS isn't all that exciting, but the Euro is something that is raising an eyebrow or two among the meteorological community today, and so we'll continue to monitor all of the models very carefully with Fiona's future. And so, yeah, that's the best I got for you guys today. So continue to monitor this. I'll be back tomorrow with more updates. That's it for now. Chris Dixon of Other Catholic Media.